Welcome to another episode of Laura's Social Corner and Entre Voces y Pasiones, where we celebrate meaningful conversations with leaders shaping our communities. Today is my honor to have Mayor David Holt. Welcome.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks for having me.
You are the 38th mayor in Oklahoma City,
Yes.
and you are also the president of the United States the Conference of the Mayors.
Yes.
That is a very, really important deal. We feel so proud of you, all the work you do here for our community.
Well, thank you. Yes. The U.S. Conference of Mayors has been around for almost a century.
Wow.
And it represents 1,400 mayors across the United States. And there's a lot of opportunity there for us to advocate in Washington and to just kind of advocate for cities across the United States and share best practices. And I've been very involved since I became mayor 8 years ago, and ultimately I became president, and I'll be in that role ultimately for a year, and I'll finish up this coming June. And,
You're the youngest one.
I'm pretty young. Yeah, you're probably right. Now that I think about it, I'm probably pretty young to be in that role. Interestingly, my predecessor, Mayor Cornett, was also the president. So we've had two presidents from Oklahoma City, which is not terribly common, and good for us.
And you've been our mayor since 2018.
Yes. So I am in my, at the very end of my second term right now. And of course, just got reelected to my third term.
With the record and voted.
I mean, it was 1 point short of the all-time record, but it was very good. Yes, I was very grateful for the support, and it certainly felt very validating. I got 86.5% back in February.
80.7.
Yeah.
It was like, what is an election? We know what we want. Oklahoma winning. Because you guide us through the really important progress in Oklahoma City, the MAD 4, and also keep the Oklahoma City Thunder another long term here.
Yeah, so right. We've had an eventful 8 years. The continuation of MAPS, and MAPS, of course, is the initiative that's really been the catalyst for so much of our success here in OKC. It's an investment in ourselves, and so passing that and still implementing it over these last 8 years has been a big part of my tenure as mayor. And then obviously we also reached an inflection point with the Thunder, where it was really a question of whether they would be here long term. We're the 20th largest city, but we're the 42nd largest market, and so we're right on the edge of cities and markets that would have the opportunity to host something of that magnitude. And to do our part, we really had to have the facilities, and so leading the charge for a couple of years to seek approval for a new $1 billion arena was a big part of my tenure as well. And of course, the Thunder have committed to play in that arena for 25 years, which will be amazing. And of course, since then they've won the championship, which is another moment that we'll all remember. We also had the big bond issue last year that's putting $3 billion into our core infrastructure here in the city. A lot of other things. Obviously, getting the Olympics here is an exciting moment as well. So it's been eventful, and in the next 4 years, I hope to have more of the same.
I feel like you've been making history no matter what. Is it the right time for you?
Yeah, right. I mean, I came into this with a lot of experience. I had been my predecessor, Mayor Mick Cornett's chief of staff. I'd been a state senator for 8 years. So, I think I arrived in 2018 very well prepared for this role, which I think is important. When I'm a voter, I want people who have experience. I don't like people learning on the job.
It's funny because we were talking just about that stuff, because I know it's a lot of politicians, they've been just politicians, but no experience. And then we see the consequences right now. I don't want to give names, but I see it. And I said, that is what happened.
A lot of mistakes I see elected officials make, to me, are pretty predictable if they'd had any experience in that role. I know we want the right mix. We want people who have some life experience, and maybe collectively, you want all your elected officials to sort of bring a lot of different kinds of backgrounds to it. But I'll tell you, especially in these executive roles, mayor, governor, president, if that person doesn't really have any experience with government, I mean, it's just like you wouldn't hire a plumber who's never gotten any training in
ballet.
Right? I mean, I don't know why you would hire somebody to run your city run your state, run your country, who's never served in government, never been elected to government. I get like the ideal of that, but it just doesn't really work out in real life.
In real life. And for anything, it have to be an effort. So you're the first Native American mayor in Oklahoma City. So I was reading that today to my kids. They didn't know.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah, we're a state with 39 tribes.
right.
Mine is the Osage Nation. The headquarters is actually more in northeast Oklahoma, up by Tulsa. It's a city called Pawhuska in Osage County.
That's a beautiful county, though.
Yeah,
Pawhuska.
absolutely.
That's where they did the movie.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. There have been several movies shot there. August Osage County, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
It's, I think, the case here in Oklahoma City that there are no tribal headquarters. And so I think the case is that we've had a little bit of a disconnect between our Native American sovereign nations and the government here in OKC. So it has felt serendipitous that I got to be the first Native American mayor of our city at a time when I think we're really embracing that relationship like never before, especially with the Chickasaw Nation, who've sort of, their economic success has given them the opportunity, though they are not located in Oklahoma City, they've kind of adopted us, and it's given us an opportunity to have a really strong relationship. Yeah, they're down in Ada and Sulphur, but here in OKC, they do a lot of business, they do a lot of philanthropy. Obviously, Okana is their initiative, and they really helped us finish out First Americans Museum, which again, felt like amazing timing that I got the chance to cut the ribbon on this $200 million museum that finally tells the story and culture of Native American people here in OKC back in 2021.
That's right, because it's a beautiful museum. And the people need to know about that stuff too, because they have all the tribes there.
Yeah.
You walk
it's really well done, cutting edge. I mean, the modern museums are expensive because, it's hard to get people's attention and communicate to them the way that they expect. You can't just go have static displays and just things to read anymore. Like you got to have video and you got to have experiential, and FAM has all of that.
But today we just don't want to talk about policies. We want to talk about the men behind the title.
Okay, all right, sure.
Because it's very interesting. I would like to know how because being a public leader is a lot of pressure. What do you do to really disconnect it and say, okay, I want to be David?
That's a thing I get to do, is disconnect? I'll have to look into that. Yeah.
That exists.
It's hard. I mean, first of all, when you're the mayor, you're kind of always the mayor. I mean, even when we've traveled to Europe, I mean, we get recognized on the street because there's always an Oklahoman somewhere, So you're always kind of the mayor, and you always have to stay connected to some degree. And then I would also add, and some of your viewers may not know this, but in our form of government, we don't pay the mayor a living wage, right? So the mayor has to have another job unless the mayor's rich, and I'm not. So I am also, the last 3 years, I've been dean of Oklahoma City University School of Law. So on top of being mayor, I'm also dean of a law school with a $10 million budget and 430 students, and 50 staff, So, and then, of course, as you just observed, I'm also the president of the Conference of Mayors, which is like a third full-time job. So I'm busy, it's not for everybody. And of course, I've got a family and 2 kids who and I certainly want to be an active part of their lives as well. So I stay highly organized.
You are. You are really involved with the kids. So that's a wonderful thing. You are a perfect example of how to balance everything. But then having fun is very meaningful for everybody, right? They enjoy. Yeah. So it's some kids that are seeing you. Where do you think it brings you where you are right now?
Well, I think it's always important to remind the kids of OKC that they can be anything they want. I mean, we have people who've grown up in this community who've become obviously high-level political leaders, but also great, nationally and internationally known athletes and actors and actresses and university presidents and authors and you name it. I mean, I can come up with an example of great success in every career field. So I think that's the first message I'd always have for young people is like, don't put any limitations on yourself because you're from Oklahoma City. If you think that like this isn't New York or LA, no, we've produced people who have been at the center of every industry. And the other thing is, you just got to work hard. I mean, you got to want it, you got to do well in school and all of those things, and be organized. I mean,
That's the key.
all that stuff I just described. I mean, there's a lot of list making and a lot of calendar keeping that makes that possible.
You have an assistant, or how many assistants?
Well, yeah, because of my multiple lives, I have folks at City Hall, and then I also have folks at the law school, and certainly I need that help with scheduling. But
Right.
I also occasionally schedule myself, which is actually how this happened.
Yeah.
You communicated directly with me, but that's because we know each other. Sometimes I get myself in trouble that way, though. I end up double booked that way. But it worked out here. But yeah, it's a busy lifestyle. But I would, probably a young person. The one thing I would say, and I probably need to say this to my kids more, is you got to make lists. You got to write things down. You can't keep it all up here, all the thing, if you want to be really productive.
That's right. They have to do it for the school, right? And the homework.
Yeah, I'm kind of counting on their schooling to be educating them about list making, but it is really important.
It is very important. And so if you have somebody that visiting Oklahoma for the first time, what are the three places you will recommend to go?
Well, I usually say, I mean, of course, you have to go to the Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum. It's a very important story to our history, and it's really well done, both the memorial and the museum. So I would give it, at least 90 minutes to a couple hours. I would also say another very unique attraction here is First Americans Museum that we just talked about. Like, that's not something you can experience just anywhere. From there, I mean, there's a lot of other somewhat unique things. I shouldn't say somewhat. I mean, the cowboy is very unique. The Western Heritage Museum, people call it the Cowboy Hall of Fame, locally. Yeah. That's very unique. Obviously, you need to be kind of interested in Western culture, but if you are at all, it is the epitome of that. But after that, I mean, there's just so many great restaurants, so many great districts like Plaza District or Paseo. We're in the 39th Street District right now. I mean, there's so many great places. Capitol Hill. I think there's
three, right?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, it's hard to do. You're asking the mayor question, but I would say one thing that's interesting. That's the foundation of your question is that we have become a visitor destination. When I came into the world 40 years ago, well, 47 to be exact, people didn't really vacation to Oklahoma City, even in the area. If the only people who spent a night in a hotel in Oklahoma City were visiting family or passing through on their way, and now we have a very strong visitor economy thanks to a lot of the attractions I just talked about. I mean, you definitely have people from the region, at least, who come here and spend a long weekend. And that's been great. And I think we're continuing to build out that visitor experience.
So what leadership lesson has surprised you the most during your time as mayor?
Well, I often say to people, and we kind of already covered it, is that listen, I was the mayor's chief of staff for 5 years. I was a state senator for 8 years. If I had very much that surprised me in this, that meant I wasn't paying very good attention.
How old you were when you started all this career?
I'm born and raised here, went out to college in D.C. at George Washington. That's where I met my wife, Rachel. I worked in D.C. We worked for 3 years after college. So I worked in the White House and then came back home in 2004. So 2004 is when we sort of started our current Oklahoma City chapter. Rachel's from Philadelphia, so it was new for her. It was a return for me. And I worked in the lieutenant governor's office, and then I spent 5 years as Mayor Cornett's chief of staff. So I was 26 when I became his chief of staff. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty young to be in that role, but I'd had, this DC experience that I think made me seem more qualified. If you see pictures, you would think, well, he looks really young to be doing these roles. And then I was elected to the Senate 5 years later, representing Northwest OKC, and did that for 8 years, and that's brought me up to being 8 years as mayor. I mean, at the end of this term I just got elected to, plus my time in the state Senate, I will have been an elected official for 20 years, which seems hard to imagine for me.
Right. No, and so you're super young, 47 years old. That's amazing. So your future is very bright.
I don't know.
and
Let's
be
figure out what I'm going to be when I grow up one of these
I
days.
know, right? Be disconnected.
Mhm. There's,
So you can implement one project in Oklahoma City tomorrow with no budget, no limitations. What would be?
well, I think the one thing we still
No budget.
yeah,
It's all
I hear you. Oh,
what?
I'm gonna definitely propose something that needs a no budget. You're saying unlimited budget. You don't mean
Unlimited, yeah.
unlimited. Yeah, not no budget.
No,
Yeah, yeah. Um, the thing that I've been talking about recently, because I think it is like the next big thing for us to work on as a community, and it certainly does need some resources, is public transit. So we're a city that's very spread out. It's very much built around the automobile. But this growth that we're experiencing, which is great, it's a validation of everything we're doing, that people want to live here. But you can feel and see the traffic getting a little worse, like rush hour getting a little longer, and communities like ours that experience that growth. I mean, one thing they simply have to do is kind of build out a little bit more of a public transit system than we've ever had. We have always treated public transit kind of as an afterthought. And it's challenging because of our geographic size, but it is something we need to work on. And that'd probably be the one thing I feel like we lack. We've done so many other investments. I mean, downtown has got everything that a major American city should have in its downtown, but public transit is something we have to work on.
right. Before you were a mayor for public office, who was the young David Holt?
Who was what?
You when you were younger.
Oh, who?
Maybe in the 13 years old, 14 years old.
Well, you have to understand, I was student council president in the 6th grade. I was sophomore class president. I was, I don't know. Maybe I've always been David Holt, I think.
David Holt. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I've always been.
Where do you get all these ideas? Who help you to sharp your life?
I come from both sides of my family were always public servants. Nobody ran for office, but I mean, my dad was a school teacher. My mom was always, she worked for the early version of the State Department of Mental Health. She was a social worker. Once I came into the world, she was always like PTA president and always serving. Her father was a colonel, a career officer in the Army. I mean, so it's just like I came from sort of a service family, I think. And so pretty much, yeah, from elementary school on, I always wanted to be a part of the group of people that had the opportunity to leave the world better than they found it and had the opportunity to influence the community of which I was a part. And I've been kind of on that path literally since elementary school.
And you're doing great. You're in the right path. So here is many Latino families building business, restaurants, construction companies. What role do you see the Latino community playing in Oklahoma City with the economy in the future?
Yeah. So, when I came into the city's civic life, as we just talked about, when I was 26 years old, which is 20 years ago now, the Latino community, so this is like, 2005, 2006. The Latino community was still kind of viewed as so new in Oklahoma City that it just didn't yet have, I think, the attention of city leadership. It wasn't mature enough as a community to be voting and to be electing people, and that's part of like how a community matures and starts to get power, is that it starts to really participate in the process. And so one observation I made as I was running for mayor 8 years ago now was that, that people weren't paying enough attention, especially when you consider the size of the community. And really, even since I became mayor, I mean, it's been one out of every, and I say this stat a lot, 1 out of every 5 residents is Latino here in Oklahoma city limits. I say it a lot because I know that a lot of people in Oklahoma City, especially people who've lived here a long time, that's like news to them, like we kind of live in our bubbles. We're so spread out, and sometimes have kind of a de facto segregation. The Latino community is kind of clustered a lot in South OKC. That if you live at 150th and Council, like you may not really realize how significant and large the Latino community of Oklahoma City is. So I thought part of my task as mayor was to first, sort of socialize the reality with everybody in Oklahoma City that the Latino community is as large as it is, and then to start to work to kind of integrate more give leaders in the Latino community more leadership opportunities in the city government and in the city decision-making process, so that, we're growing together. What I was worried about when I became mayor in 2018, it kind of felt like it was like we had two cities, and I didn't want that. I mean, the Latino community's culture should be preserved, but at the same time, like, we all need to be growing as one community, one OKC. I mean, that was a big part of why I used that phrase and still do. And then, and that's manifested itself in my board appointments. I mean, I've kind of made sure that there's always a voice from the Latino community on every single city board. Whereas when I took office, we probably had less than 5 people of Latino descent out of our 500 appointees of all the volunteers that populate all of these community decision-making boards. So that was a big thing. And then also sort of just being visible, like going to Fiestas de las Americas and, going to openings on Capitol Hill and, and then making sure that investments that we make as a city, like the new plaza in Capitol Hill, reflect this community. So it's just, there's a lot of aspects to it, but it's definitely been a high priority for me. I think this is definitely a period that will be remembered as the Latino community of Oklahoma City really coming and being welcomed into the community as a whole.
And this is one of the things that we really feel proud about you, because you bring just not Latinos, all the communities, you're trying to put it together.
Right.
And it's amazing to see you everywhere trying to bring the community to Oklahoma City. That's very special.
Yeah, well, thank you. But, it's fun for me. I think it's great. I want to be the mayor for everybody, And so, when I see communities that have been kind of either intentionally or unintentionally marginalized. Sometimes it's racist and sometimes it's just ignorant.
You don't know
what to do. Yeah, and so to see communities like that haven't been a part really welcomed into the leadership in the decision making of Oklahoma City, I think it's fun to bring them in. To me it's great and rewarding. I couldn't imagine doing this job any other way.
You're doing great.
Thanks, Laura.
It's one day someone asked what kind of leader David Holt was. What would be your answer?
Well, I think, I talk a lot about how leaders in America have got to find these outcomes that are as unifying as possible, and they really do exist. But so much of American politics today is about these polarized outcomes. It's like you feel you're presented as if you only have a choice between something that's on the far left and something that's on the far right. And the reality is 70% of us are living in the middle. We are going to be registered with one party or another. We're going to have some principles and preferences that are not all in alignment. But we were taught, in elementary school, that we could compromise and we could find a happy medium, and that the policy process of American democracy is created to bring about those outcomes that are good enough, right? They're never going to get exactly what you want, but we should be conditioned to accept that. Our electoral system in Oklahoma City, when I run for mayor, I face all the voters. It incentivizes that kind of behavior. It says hey, our mayor should bring people together. Our mayor should not have to try to pander to the far right or the far left. And so I think a leader, at least in the context of politics in this community or in this nation, needs to be bringing people together, trying to listening to everybody, and then trying to say, okay, well, what if we do this? Does this work for you? Does this work for you? I mean, that's what the kind of outcomes that we produce in Oklahoma City are. Again, unfortunately, right now, it's so many leaders are divisive and they're negative and they're building up their power by tearing others down, and ultimately you don't really ever accomplish much that way, and therefore it's I don't see a lot getting done at the state and federal level, because that style may get you elected, but it doesn't get much beyond that.
It is shocking to have the kind of system in the United States, because I went to vote, many years ago, and I said, but I like this one. He said, no, but you register this. You can now vote for this. He goes, really? I said, that's
Yeah.
shocking.
Yeah.
But I like this guy for this position, and I like this guy for other position. I can't.
This is so
That's
fundamental
very
to our
frustrating.
dysfunctionality as an American democracy. And it's why Oklahoma City, I think, does so well, is everybody gets the same ballot in Oklahoma City. When you show up and you want to vote for somebody, we're there for you. Concurrently, we have to face all of the voters, instead of like a small subset who may have kind of unusual opinions and priorities that are out of step with the 70% of us in the middle. When I run for mayor, I better be trying to appeal to the broad community. I better be trying to find ways to appeal to Democrats, Republicans, and independents, And so, I think it's the single reason. It's why I was supporting State Question 836. It's because that was going to bring all of the elections basically into the same format that we use in Oklahoma City, which I think has been enormously successful for us. It is the reason why we can get things done, because we're kind of forced to work together.
Yeah, we're very unique in that regard. I have one more question for you about our city.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're the one that really living all the stage.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see in a big future? What is the thing that you see we need to have this in Oklahoma City?
Well, we talked about public transit. I think we're at a time where we're transitioning from sort of a small city to a big city, and there's going to be big city problems that come with that. Growth brings not just traffic, but challenges of crime and homelessness and all that. So I think we're just going to have to continue to make investments, not lose our hunger. Don't give up on the passage of all these types of things. As I've said a lot lately since the bond issue was voted on last year, since 1993, we're 15-0 in tax votes to invest in capital infrastructure, whether it's quality of life, fun stuff like arenas, or whether it's core infrastructure like street resurfacing and fire stations. We're 15-0 in those votes. We can't stop. I hope that 30 years from now we're 30-0. We can't ever give up on investing in our community and lose sort of the sense of urgency and hunger that's gotten us to this point. It's out of my jurisdiction, but I would be remiss if I didn't also say that we really need to continue to invest in and think about public education. And that's always a challenge, really, for any city. Almost no city has figured it out because, public schools are always going to face the challenges that face their students. And urban areas are going to have greater poverty and greater crime and broken families. And so the public schools are sometimes just a reflection of that. So we have to try twice as hard to produce some of the same results. And again, no city's totally figured it out, but it is something we always have to stay focused on. It certainly matters. Cities in Oklahoma have no control or jurisdiction over schools. And so I don't talk about it a lot because I have no real role in it. But it is nonetheless something that we have to always talk about.
Maybe one day when you're a governor or president of the States. Who knows? The future. Mayor Holt, thank you so much for being here and showing us your vision for Oklahoma and your heart behind the leadership. They will love it. So everybody in Oklahoma, most of Oklahomans, we like your leadership, and we really appreciate it for the opportunity you bring to all the communities and all of us.
Yeah, well, thank you, Lauren. Thanks for having this format to this platform to share the stories of OKC with all of your viewers. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you. It will be until next time.